I know what you've seen by the title. It sounds crazy. It really does sound crazy, but let me speak a minute. Also, by the way, I look like a mess right now. It's currently like 30 degrees in the UK, so like you've got to allow it. But what I mean by this is, there's a lot of divide between white people and just every other race in general. Like, a lot of people focus on the white and black, but it is like Asian, Middle Eastern, everything, even South American, Native American, stuff like that. There's a really big divide on, from one side, I don't even want to say like marginalized communities or, stuff like that, because I feel like it is a very westernized term. If I was to go over to Africa, for instance, I would be then the marginalised thing. So when people think about, black people, especially in Western society, they think of, they're the small population of the world, when really white people are not as, big as people think. And, that's coming from a white guy. If someone goes to me, I'm going to say I'm white, but at the end of the day, I'm Welsh. I've grew up in Wales. I've learnt Welsh as a language. I've seen Welsh customs, and that's the thing. And, I would expect for the same thing from a black Asian guy. If they've grew up in Wales, yes, they will always have that inherent connection to that side, but they are still Welsh. And what a lot of people don't, they will get mad at me for saying this, they're not Welsh because of their skin colour. I don't think necessarily skin colour and culture has anything to do with each other, because for me, if I was to go to a tribe in Kenya and born it, I don't care what anyone says, I'm Kenyan, because I've grew up with their cultures, their food, their traditions, their religions even, and I've grew up in that environment. So getting on to the main topic, sorry, I understand I was a little bit of a tangent, but sort of just getting my views out there. But what I mean by this is, I think a really, really good example is the BLM movement. I think the BLM movement was a good movement, especially in the time it was needed, but the actual movement itself, the money and when you see where it goes and stuff like that, it does get a bit dodgy. But I'm not going to talk about that side. I'm just talking about, the movement itself, about how it is true. You see all the time, people pointing fingers at black people and saying, oh, well, they're this, they're that, when no, it's not. And I'll get into that little bit more. But what I want to talk about is the All Lives Matter movement. The reason why people say it's not racist, because, all lives do matter. Yeah, all lives matter, whatever. But that was a counter protest to BLM to undermine them. The whole point, and this is what I mean, when we talk about cultures and stuff like this, black people, a lot of black people in America, I can't say with 100% because I'm not from America, I'm not a black person in America, but they say white people have no culture, and I do understand where they're coming from a certain perspective. Is because, I'm very lucky. I've been able to travel the world, and so a bit of background by me. So I've grown up in a council flat. I'm currently in a council flat right now. But my dad, I'm not ashamed to admit, he had a good bit of money. But my mum was poor, single parent, and I've been able to have quite a unique perspective on it, because I would say my dad's middle class and my mum is lower class. So I've had both perspectives. I've lived with my mum my whole life, but my dad's always been there for me. And I can even see the differences between money and how they see culture. My dad, I wouldn't say he's necessarily a racist person, but he does have some very racist views. And I wouldn't say my dad's a nasty or bad person. He does work and helps the homeless, and he don't care about the thing, but especially about Islam. He has some very well, I wouldn't say he's necessarily against Islam, he's against illegal immigration. But when people talk about that, it's a complete more complex topic, because the only reason we have illegal immigration is because the Western society is going into these poorer countries, taking out oil, starting wars, and that's the only reason we have immigration like we do. I guaranteed if we stopped going over to them countries and doing what we do, we wouldn't have as much immigration, and no one can tell me otherwise. But anyway, when we look at like white culture, especially in America, I'm going to be speaking more terms in America for this, but it is a growing thing in the UK at the moment. But none of these, white groups are formed on love and passion, they're formed on hatred for other races. You see it with the KKK, Proud Boys, EDL. They're not formed on being proud to be English American. They're formed on hate. And I strongly believe that. But then when you look at movements, especially black movements, black-owned businesses, Soul Food, BLM, even when you see the carnival in the UK, they're all formed on love and positivity, and that's the big difference. When I go to these events, I've been very lucky. I have a lot of black friends. I have a lot of Filipino friends as well. In high school, we done blacks versus Asians in basketball, and it was really fun. I got to see different sides. And when I went into there, I never felt like out of place. I never felt like, out of place. I can't put it into words. Like, obviously there was racist jokes, like, flying around, like, oh, bro, get some seasoning on your food before you get on the court and stuff like that. And this is another thing. When there's racist jokes from non-white people, they never go straight for the heart. It's fun. But then when white people go, it's straight to, oh, go back to your country, or you ain't even from here. I seen it the other day. I was in Wetherspoons, UK people gonna know what that is, and it was a bunch of, I'm Welsh by the way, so there was a bunch of northern Welsh people, very different from south, but it was this Asian fella. He was I don't want to say, but he was a brown Asian, and he said, oh bro, how long you been in this country for now? And I was like, bro, that's not a joke. I'm not part of their friendship group, so I don't understand their dynamic. But he's went straight for that. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They're like, well, either no joke is fine or every joke is fine. That's not the white thing. As a white person now, I will say that, because I have white friends, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. I don't see colours, that sort of thing. But even them, their jokes, they won't be light-hearted. They will have a certain aspect of, I wouldn't say hatred, but sort of necessarily ill intentions. That's what I would say. I'm not saying they have ill intentions, but the joke comes from an ill intention, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's a big difference, because I do see when then if a black person or something goes into a white, even if they're going to their white friend's birthday party or something, and there's a lot of white people will look. I see it personally. I do see it. And it's sad, because people are like, oh no, it's just they have that perception. No, bro, it's not. If I was to go over my black mates and say, none of the family are looking at me differently, be like, yo, who's that white boy you brung? Or something like that. But they're never looking. But when a black person comes to a white function, they are seen in a different way. And I don't know how to put in topics. Obviously, I'll never be able to understand it. But, if you're a black person, Asian person, watch this video, you might be able to put in words better than what I am. And I feel like that's the whole thing, is the cultures in modern day society I'm talking about now, black, Asian, Middle Eastern cultures, the reason why they stick together so much is because they're looking out for each other. It's built on trust and doing better. That's why you see so many black businesses now, and people are, oh well, why don't it matter, there's a black business, women businesses, stuff like that. It's because in history they should be so proud right now that they are able to run their own business just with black people. And I don't care what anyone says, that me as a white person, that don't make me feel inferior. That makes me feel proud. Not proud, I don't want to seem like a white savior, because at the end of the day, they don't need my fucking proudness or anything to say what they're doing is good. But it is really nice to see that I can't put into words. But anyway, back onto it, the other point what I was saying is, that I've just thought while I was saying that, is that why I think there's such a big divide between white and black culture. I feel like black people do understand white culture more than white people understand black culture. I mean, the average white person. And people's going to be like, oh bro, you're just saying this because you've been around them or you want to be black. I've been told so many times in my life I want to be black. No, I'm just a product of my environment. You know, I'm wearing a bonnet right now, shit like that. I'm just a product of my environment. I will never call myself a wigger, a YC, nothing like that, because that is undermining. The reason why they say that is because they're trying to compare you to a hood person. And that's why I see, especially in America, is that people you see, like, you know, Ben Shapiro, people like that, they think black culture is hood culture. And it annoys me. It genuinely boils my blood because it puts these people down so much. You know, if you're a black person watching this from the hood, you'll always have that one white boy. And they never try and be black. They're just a product of their environment. They understand they're white. And you see, a lot of the times, the people who, some people do try and be black, white people. But they know, you can just tell they're from the suburbs because they don't know their own culture. And when you look at hoods across the world, you'll have Asian Crips, you have the Samoan gangs, and they all dress the same, talk the same. And it just shows it's not black culture, it's hood culture. And what these politicians have done is put that hood culture. I don't think hood culture is a good thing. It's made me who I am to today, but I don't think it's a good way because it's made me. I can get into personal experience in my life right now with this. Made me, but I'm not going to get into it. You know, I say this. I would say I've had a hard life. You know, my brother was doing things he shouldn't be doing, and that nearly made me, you know, not be on this earth when I was 6 years old from, if that understands what I mean. I thought it was sugar, if some of you will get that. But what it is a lot of white people, I would say they're jealous of black culture and Asian culture and stuff like that. And they hate that they're so together. Anyway, I'm just getting on a tangent, but if you guys sort of got some good points from this video, or even helped you understand a bit, or you're someone who has different thoughts to me and think, what the fuck's this white boy talking about? Get him out of here. Just let me talk. We can have a conversation in the comments or something. But I really enjoyed having this video. And if you guys maybe want to give me something else to give me some thoughts about it, and maybe have more concrete conversation on a certain topic, then let me know, because I really love these types of topics. But anyway, guys, make sure you have a good day and always stay positive, guys. Have a really good day.